I deliberately left the beginning of that video just so you can appreciate the beauty of where I am right now. This is Harper's Ferry. Three rivers meet up here, the Potomac and I forget the other two. And we are on our way down to Florida, making a stop through where I'll be on Tim Pool tomorrow night, as at the time of shooting this vlog. We're driving down and my kid's in the car and we've got 24 hours of driving to learn things, to study, to talk. And as we're driving down, upper New York State, we pass Fort Ticonderoga. And I start explaining to my kid, like, Ticonderoga, I don't even know what that is. I know that I've said the name as long as I've been alive, so we go look it up. And Fort Ticonderoga used to be Fort Carillon when the French had it. And it was the battleground between the Americans in the fight for independence, the British who occupied it. And you realize the history of America, how amazing it is that America became what it is and Canada became what it is in that battle for freedom versus the battle to remain British subjects. And then I start explaining to my kid, why would they be battling for freedom? And the more I explained of this, the more the striking similarities to today began to emerge. I'm telling him, why would they do it? Well, you had Americans who were colonizing, discovering, making America their own, paying taxes to a British government. They would take their money from America, bring it over to England so that England could then wage wars in foreign countries that had absolutely no relevance or bearing on Americans. And so they're sitting there seeing their tax dollars go to fund foreign conflict, the tax dollars that they're paying the government actually serving no benefit to them or their well-being. And I started explaining to my kid, what are taxes? And I say, taxes in theory are the monies you pay to the government to do things of public infrastructure, things that would not be resolved by way of private ownership. I want to drive from Montreal to Florida. I don't own the land in between. I'm not going to go build the roads between Montreal and Florida, but we need that type of infrastructure. That, in theory, is what tax dollars are supposed to go to pay. As I'm explaining this to my kid, I say, yeah, so we pay tax dollars, and in addition to funding infrastructure, although corruptly with lots of waste, they then take your tax dollars and siphon it off to foreign countries to fund foreign proxy wars. Ukraine, I'm looking your way. And they're taking our hard-earned dollars here that we pay to the government to benefit our citizenry, and they ship it off to foreign countries to fund their foreign proxy wars. And I'm like, holy cows, this is literally a 1776 moment in real time, because the grievances that I have for paying taxes now that are being siphoned off to fund foreign wars of this empire is exactly what the Americans took by way of grievance in their fight for independence from the British. And as I'm explaining this to my kid, we then, as we're driving, listen to Dan Bongino, who's giving us the latest updates on the MIHOP, the Made It Happen on Purpose, failed Trump assassination but successful murder of Corey Camperatore, and the successful injury of two other spectators. And I'm listening to the latest updates. I believe this is a MIHOP. That's my personal opinion. That is Made It Happen on Purpose. LIHOP would be the lesser degree of culpability, but it's one or the other. It's either let it happen or made it happen. And the more the news comes out now we're getting information, confirmation that there was no CS unit, counter sniper unit, attributed to the Butler area until the day before the rally was scheduled to be held. Apparently it was supposed to be at the airport at first, and then they canceled that at the last minute, and so there was 5 days notice that they were going to hold it in that field at the AGR building in Butler, Pennsylvania. And we're now getting confirmation that there was no counter sniper unit ascribed to that rally until the day before. We're now also getting confirmation that there was apparently no meeting between the counter-sniper units and the local law enforcement. And the most damning bit of information that came out today, that the ESU, the Emergency Services Unit, the state equivalent of the SWAT teams for Butler, Pennsylvania, no communications with the counter-sniper unit, and they were apparently texting images well in advance to the counter-sniper unit, or the liaison between the Secret Service and the counter-sniper units. They relayed the information that there was a suspicious person with a rangefinder, with a bike, with a backpack. They didn't know what was in it. And they were relaying this information by way of text messages, not just seconds before the shooting, not just minutes, but 40 minutes before Trump took the stage, and that these were received by there's a term for the liaison, the person who receives information to relay it to the Secret Service counter-sniper units. It was received and apparently not relayed to the Secret Service or the counter-sniper units, such that the known threat, not just a suspicious person, the known threat, someone with a rangefinder, a little, scope, rangefinder, the thing you use when you're playing golf so you know how far you have to hit the ball, or when you're going to carry out an assassination, you need to know how far your target is away. They lost this guy. They didn't know where he went, and they sent text messages well in advance, lost the guy. A bike with a backpack, very, very threatening, suspicious. They texted it, and Secret Service nonetheless let Trump take the stage, to be a sitting duck on that stage, to take a bullet for America, which he did, but survived this devious plan to have him assassinated in broad daylight, live on television, in HD, at 1/8,000th of a second, 30 frames per second, if Doug Mills had got the shot that the deep state, or whoever facilitated this, made it happen on purpose, wanted to see. Aired before the world, the ultimate demoralization, the ultimate telling the people, you are not in control, we are. You think that you are a government for the people, by the people, you're not. You're not any more now than you were when the Brits owned you back in 1772. And they had that 1776 moment back in the day. And this entire cycle of knowledge, of history, it comes full circle. Say it again. He got a crawfish. Okay, well, come, let's see this. Kids looking for crawfish in the river. Let's see this. Crayfish. Let's see. Are they gonna... Oh, look at it. It's a little baby. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. You probably can see it. That's a little baby crayfish. Okay, go put it back. And not big enough to eat. So we're here, and we're going to spend the day in Harper's Ferry tomorrow, go for a hike, maybe do the tubing down the river thing, learn history, learn how history doesn't repeat, but it certainly tends to rhyme. And when we had the Americans fighting for independence from the Brits because their hard-earned tax dollars were going to fund foreign conflict of a regime, of an empire that wanted to wage wars in far-off lands and take the money of Americans to do it, they said no mas, and they fought for their freedom. And then there was the battle for Ticonderoga, where the Brits took over the unit, or the fort, for a little while, and then recoiled into Canada. And America, the Americans fighting for their freedom, attempted to invade Canada, to liberate Canada as well, but they didn't. And Canada became what it is today. America became what it is today. The Canadian spirit became what it is today, and the American spirit became what it is today. And there's a reason why you have people now fighting once again for their independence, for their freedom, for their autonomy, so that their tax dollars go to their citizenry, go to the vets, go to the homeless, go to the drug addicts, go to infrastructure, go to bettering society for the citizens, because it's their damn money. And as it is now, it's being siphoned off, bilked, pilfered for corrupt purposes to fund foreign proxy wars where everyone gets their cut. And we are starting to realize what was supposed to be a government by the people, for the people, is now a government of the deep state military industrial complex. What do they call it? Capital cronyism? It is no longer a government by the people, for the people, but that is what this next election cycle is about. That is what this moment, that miracle that we all witnessed on television, that bullet was intended for Trump's head. And but for the grace of God, it caught his ear instead. And right now we're living through the rebirth, the revitalization, and maybe, I dare say, and I dare hope, the awakening, the reawakening for people. That this is not how a country should be run, it's not how a country can be run, and this should be the 1776 moment. 2.0, the modern iteration. Stay peaceful, stay vigilant, and understand that anyone calling for violence and anyone calling for anything that is clearly counter to the interests of this 1776 movement 2.0, fed or fed adjacent. Because the people who resort to the violence are the ones who want to use that violence as a pretext to justify more government intervention, more rescinding, revocation of rights and freedoms, more qualifying rights and freedoms as privileges. During the congressional hearings, it's not an accident that they were going after encrypted message apps. It wasn't an accident that they were going after more gun control. They let a president take the stage to be a sitting duck for what I believe will be determined to be someone who had connections to intelligence, to the FBI, whatever was on their radar, even if he wasn't in their holdings. They let him take the stage, knowing that that was out there. Everybody, Do not resort to what they want you to resort to. Do not become the monster that you are defeating, because if you become the monster that you are trying to defeat, you never defeat that monster, you only replace it. Viva Fry, make sure that you are liked, shared, subscribed, drop a comment, feed the algorithm, enjoy the beauty, the history of this interstate of geography, geology, history, culture, and everything. Harper's Ferry, it's beautiful. Stay tuned for Tim Pool tomorrow night.
I found that.
What do you got? You found this? Let's see what this is.
It's a metal ball in a piece of wood.
It's literal history, people. I don't know what this is. I know you can't take it. This looks like an old railway. It looks like an old railway. Yeah, well, that's where the railway. And that they took it down, threw it into the water, and built another one. But this looks like a railway with the railway pin. All right, we got to go eat dinner. Enjoy the scenery and the history and the beauty. Peace out, everybody. Booyah. Oh, God. I'm wet.
Can we go catch some crawdads?
Yes, we can.